Hi, friends. This is Tony from Historic American Homes. Back again. It's been a few weeks. Sorry for the delay. I've been caught up in some other aspects of real life, involved in a big home remodeling of my own right now. Anyhow, I wanted to give you a quick update on the status of this lovely little mid-century modern inspired house we've been working on, and show you a few details that have changed over the course of the last few weeks in small ways. I'm going to start with the building's dimensional grid. You'll see these little circles with a line through them. They're going to provide us with a grid framework over which to dimension everything. And in general, when I can, I like to try to keep them as regular as possible. And over the course of the design, as we'd worked on it, it had kind of shifted a little bit, and I wasn't quite satisfied with that. The basic grid dimension we're working with is derived from the patio doors, which are 5 foot 11 inches wide. And then when you add a half an inch of space on each side, that makes a 6 foot opening. However, with the kind of framing that we're doing with the post and beam, rather than standard wood stud framing, I need to include a two by four on either side of that would be this piece right here. Sorry, right there. A 2x4 on either side of the opening that provides an edge around to which the patio door can be attached. And then on either side of that are the actual structural posts, which you see in brown. So that gives the spacing on center for those posts as 6 foot 6.5 inches. It's a bit of an odd number. It's not a nice round figure, which I'd have preferred, but it's necessary if we're going to use the door as our unit. So what I've done is I wanted them all the same. I could have adjusted and made them different. For instance, this space on the left and this space on the right could have been different, but I wanted to make the grid consistent, 6 foot 6.5 inches all the way across. So I did that. It meant adding a few inches to the width of the building. These side walls have come out a few more inches, this side and this side here. The net result is it got slightly larger. It was originally 993 square feet, and it's now just a few feet over 1,000. Let's see. Let's go into the floor here. I'm clicking down into my floor, and there's the floor surface. And when you click on the floor surface, make sure you only click once and you get just the face, not the edges. If you do that and you look at entity info in the upper right, it gives you area 1,004.67 feet squared. It's a nice little tool to be aware of when you're using Sketchup. You can get the areas of surfaces that way. It will only be a continuous surface. So if you've got something that interrupts that, like that little square, that little rectangle I just drew, you'll see that the face area, looking at entity info, dropped down to 1,001. So you need to make sure, if you want to get an accurate square foot count, that you don't have little interruptions like that. Anyway, so that was the first change, was adjusting the grid, and that meant moving the walls out a little bit, extending the floor a little bit, moving these two patio doors, the patio doors at each end. Second thing I did was I was looking at this bathroom here and realizing I had a conflict between the door and the shower. One simple solution would be to use a sliding door. No problem with that. I thought about doing that at first, and then I thought maybe I need to just look once more briefly at the arrangement of the bathroom itself and see if there's a better arrangement. So I worked up a second option, left the door in the same place, but moved things around inside the bathroom. And frankly, I think it works much better. I think it's a much better arrangement. It feels like there's just a little more better flow when you open the door into the space, more room to move around as the doors open. With the door open, the view of the toilet would be blocked from the living area. You would not actually see the toilet if somebody were to happen to leave the door open, which is a nice consideration. So I will need to adjust the placement of this window. It's going to have to pull over. I kind of just gave myself a few days to decide whether or not I wanted to go with this new arrangement. And today I'm thinking I will. So I'll adjust that window and make that change. Now, I also made I'm considering some small changes in the master bedroom closet and bath area as well. This is what we had originally. We have a shower down at this end. We've gained a few inches here, so if I decide to keep this arrangement, I'm going to have to fiddle with this to use those few inches. On this side, we had two 5-foot wide, full height built-in closets and a shallower closet with drawers and shelves. Full height could allow for 2 levels of clothes hanging inside if you want. Well, I was also just feeling like this bathroom with a 42-inch wide sink, it's a little bit tight up against this shower, and I was a little uncomfortable with that. So I also looked at this again to see if there's an alternative that might work better. And so far, what I've come up with involves a compromise, but it might be a compromise worth making. What I did was I kept the one closet at 5 feet. So you could potentially have 2 levels of hanging there, which would be 10 feet of rod. I cut the other one back down, and it's only 2 feet wide now, but it would be good for tall items, raincoats and coats and jackets and things like that. And then I used 2 of these shallower units. And the reason for that would be that it would allow me to bump the wall of the bathroom out and give a little more space inside the bathroom. It pulls the sink back a bit relative to the shower, so there's less of a uncomfortable tightness right in that area. I'm inclined to go with it. It's a tough call. That would be a very personal decision, and if this was for an actual client rather than as a stock plan, then the client would decide based on their particular storage and bath needs. But I think that for a small house, this just might be a little more comfortable. So those are the 2 changes I'm looking at there, and the 2 bathrooms. And lastly, I am just going to show you working on my thoughts here more about the framing. I'm going to turn the roof back on. So what we have is this line of posts coming across and supporting a set of parallel roof beams, which then go on to support the structural insulated panel roof deck itself. Now, these sidewalls, strictly speaking, I don't need to have a beam the full length at the sidewalls because the walls itself can support the roof, and that's what's going to happen. So I've shown a beam here, and I've shown a post at this corner because there would be corner framing here. But some of that it's kind of conceptual at this point, and some of that's going to disappear inside the wall. And once it's in the wall, we don't need the expense of a beam. So I was looking at how things like this corner is going to frame out based on keeping this consistent spacing with a post. And let me go over here with a post and a 2x4 connected to it to support the French door, the patio door. We would end up, if we wanted to be consistent, we'd end up with a similar arrangement at this corner. So I've kind of shown in plan this little piece down. Let me zoom in a little better on that. This sort of gives a rough idea of the corner framing. That would be this corner back here. So we're pretending that there's a post in the corner. It will get actually just framed up with standard lumber, but I wanted the dimension of an actual post to show. We've got a post, we've got the framing of the sidewall, a couple of studs showing one here, one here. This would be the 2x that's to which the patio door is connected. And then we end up with a funny 1-inch space here. Get this out of the way. Because the post is 3.5 inches wide and this wall is 5.5 inches wide, we end up with 1 inch on each side of the post. The 2x6 that I'm showing here extends out beyond that 1.5 inches. There would be a 1/2 inch gap and then the frame of the patio door. On this side here, there's going to be a 1-inch space that's going to need to be filled in. And that could be done, well, if there's no actual post in this corner. Let me move it out of the way. Now that we've got the dimensions it would take up, there would be more likely simply that. And that would work. That would provide adequate support to the beam above. And then the wall could just continue. I think it's probably going to end up like that. I just want to understand the framing. It's not really vital at this stage, but because there are a few things about this approach of a kind of combining timber post and beam with a standard frame wall, that they're combining these two approaches. I just want to make sure I've got a grasp on how to frame the tricky bits. You know, the inside corner, the outside corner here, the inside corner over here. This window is going to need some looking at. We need to be providing for the structural support necessary for the roof, the beam. We need to be providing for a way to attach a patio door to the wall, or in this case of this corner over here, the window, where the window meets the corner. How's that going to dovetail in with the finishes? So that's a level of detail I'm getting into now, and some of the recent changes. Hope you found this interesting. Do like and subscribe. I've got a playlist for this house. I've got a couple of other playlists for other house projects I'm working on right now. You might want to check those out. I generally try to just combine simple tips on SketchUp with my design thoughts as it's in progress. This is like a glimpse into my brain as I'm working out the problems that I'm finding and developing the ideas and the solutions. Let me know if you like this stuff. Let me know if you want more of one thing and less of another. Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what's on your mind. If you've got questions, put them in the comments. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Bye-bye.